The Liebherr L538 is a smaller sized wheel loader, coming in at around 13 tonnes. It comes in a fairly small Liebherr branded box which has got a nice photo of the real machine, but as is often the case, there's no information about it. Open it up, the internal packaging is typical Conrad with foam protecting the model well, and there's no instructions, there's just the model and a small bag containing a couple of parts that have to be fitted. There are only two parts to fit and they are mirrors, and it's good to see they've got silvered surfaces. So that's handy if you just want to quickly check that your makeup's okay. Fitting the mirrors onto the cab is straightforward, and it's really only a question of whether you can control your fingers properly, or whether you are a lumbering lummox of an elephant. Looking underneath, the axles are unusual because they're plastic, but they are detailed, and the transmission system is modelled too. The rubber tyres are nicely moulded and the wheels look detailed enough. At the back there's a metal handrail and the graphics look good, including a warning sign on the rear counterweight. On top of the engine cover the grills look good, including a plastic mesh grille. The cab is fairly simple, but there are metal grab rails on the outside. And underneath the cab the steering pistons are modelled, but they're not silver because they're plastic. At the front there are chocks on the wheel arches, and the loader mechanism looks okay, but there's no hydraulic hoses to add detail. The bucket is a decent looking metal casting. Driving along, the L538 rolls with precision, but it's not really free rolling, and maybe it's trying to represent the hydrostatic transmission of the real machine. As usual for Conrad, each of the wheels is separately mounted so they turn independently. And the functionality of the axles has been properly modelled, with the rear axle floating and the front axle fixed. The steering works well, but the flexing of the drive shaft certainly seems unusual. But with the model back on its wheels it steers well, and because the steering is not stiff you can easily practice your driving. The other area of functionality is the loader mechanism. And it's really good because a good cut angle can be achieved, and it's good to see that a really good carry angle can be achieved with the bucket down. The stiffness of the cylinders is engineered nicely so it will hold any pose that you want to set. And in terms of bucket height it goes way up and probably exceeds that of the real machine. The other thing to test is the tilting of the bucket, and that's very good too, so Conrad have really nailed the bucket functionality on this model. So on to the genuine imitation real life tests. And we'll start by delivering the L538 on a low loader. It's a small machine so you don't need a big truck to carry it, and as long as you employ a super skilled driver like this one, getting it off the low loader should be no problem at all. So let's move straight on and ask our driver to load up a truck. What the hell's going on here? What did he do there? Move along now, there's nothing to see, get back to work.
I told him 10 times.
With a new driver, the L538 confidently drives up to the tipper truck, and the loader mechanism has no problem at all getting to a good height. And just see how the operator smoothly tilts that bucket. Yes, once again it's pure class from the Cranes Etc. organisation. This Conrad model is typically strong and well made, and although some more detailing would have been better, there's no doubt that the functionality of it is pretty well spot on. So if you're looking for a small wheel loader, this one's good enough to highly recommend.